Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me here to speak this evening. Actually, I was last at this event 3 years ago, and I must say today, listening to all the speakers and the panel sessions that we've had, it's great to hear some of the progress that has been made in India and addressing some of the opportunities, some of the challenges that we all face in trying to address the opportunity for India here. Now, I'm going to talk today about innovation. I want to talk a bit more about the opportunity. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the semiconductor industry more broadly as well. So, yeah, to kick off then, a little bit of recent history. So, ARM recently celebrated our 25th anniversary of the founding of the company, and since that in that time, our partners worldwide have shipped more than 75 billion ARM-based devices, and so you can look at that as being 10 ARM processor-based chips for every person on the planet. Of course, the ramp-up rate of that has been increasing dramatically over the past few years. So by the time you get to 2015, then it's order of 2 ARM-based chips shipped for every person on the planet in 2015. And really, this is a sign of the success of the entire ARM partnership and ecosystem. I know many of our partners are represented here, so thank you very much for your support working with us over those 25 years, which have been an amazing journey. ARM is about enabling innovation. As I'm sure you know, we don't manufacture anything. We're an IP company, we're a technology company. We provide the designs that our partners layer value on top of. And that can be anything from a Cortex-M0, tiny power-sipping Cortex-M0 IoT platform design, to a large, complex 64-bit multi-core SoC targeting server or HPC application. And this IP business model that we pioneered back then in the early 1990s has proved highly successful and highly scalable as well. So now the 75 billion number, I am reliably informed, and I admit I haven't done the maths myself, that if you were to lay all of those chips end to end, they would stretch from the Earth to the moon. So staying on this space theme for a minute, earlier this year, a British astronaut, a guy named Tim Peake, took an ARM-based Raspberry Pi up to the International Space Station. And he's going to be running some experiments on that board that have been submitted by UK school children, collecting the results and downloading them back to Earth. That's a pretty exciting thing to be doing. Now, India, of course, is also doing very well with its space program, and another great example of how some really exciting innovation can be done at a relatively low cost. So it's great to see these kind of examples. The future, the next 25 years, as I look at the next 25 years for ARM and also the opportunity for India, a very exciting future. The kind of global innovation that we talked about here enables us to do these kind of things, sending satellites in space, all of this kind of thing. So the future is certainly really exciting. And talking of innovation is about making people's lives better as well. And we recently, in partnership with UNICEF, we ran a global competition called Wearables for Good. And this competition was to try and stimulate innovation, to design products that would solve real challenges out there in the world. And it's kind of interesting that of the 3 of the finalists had Indian engineers involved. And in fact, the two winning entries for that competition were both heavily involved Indian engineers. And the first of which was this organization called Cushy Baby. And this product enables healthcare workers to track immunizations of small children over a 2-year period. So it's an example of, it's quite simple, but it's a really clever idea at addressing a real problem, particularly in rural areas. And then the second winner, this one's really interesting because actually there's no real technology, there's no IoT or processors in this solution. It's just a clever idea, the Soa Pen. And the idea here is just encouraging small children to wash their hands after they've been doing an activity and helping with sort of hygiene and all of that. So, and the great thing about this is it's just encouraging people to think differently about a problem. So let's move on now to take a look at what's happening in the semiconductor industry. And so I guess the first thing to observe is that the growth that we've seen in the semiconductor industry over the last 5 years or so has almost entirely been driven by mobile. You can see the statistics here. Everything else beyond mobile handsets and memory, and of course a lot of the memory is driven by mobile as well, was pretty much flat over that period. So mobile has been very important and is going to be very important going forward. And I think one of the things that's interesting about mobile, so Samir was talking earlier on this afternoon in the track about the democratization of innovation. And I think that's a really important theme which resonates for me, I can definitely say. And the smartphone revolution, really for me drove the first wave of that democratization of innovation in the software space and in the apps space, enabling entrepreneurs, enabling young people in their bedrooms to be able to innovate and produce applications that could get a global audience, solving real problems for virtually no upfront investment. So, and I'll come back to this theme of how barriers to entry for innovation and democratization of innovation has changed and gives a real opportunity, particularly in India, I feel. So in mobile, sticking with mobile for a minute, again over the last 5 years or so, we've seen this relentless progress in mobile. Now, of course, ARM technology is at the heart of almost all of these mobile devices, especially the smartphones. And you can see the relentless drive there with new applications, higher resolution displays, and the massive increase in compute performance and graphics performance from our Mali graphics technology that's happened over that period. An amazing amount of innovation that has occurred just in those 5 years or so. And again, this is thanks to the work that the entire semiconductor industry has put in, and all of our partners and the broader ecosystem. But I want to talk a little bit about where's the next opportunity in mobile, what are things going to look like over the next couple of years. I think the best way to summarize it is it's going to be all about making your mobile device a more natural experience, becoming a more seamless part of all of our everyday lives. So, for example, we all know that there are more and more wearable products and technologies emerging, and the way that those devices interact with a smartphone, the way that they communicate, the way that individual applications and services information is distributed across some of these different devices to give an optimal and seamless experience for the user. We're going to see a lot more of that we're going to see a lot more context awareness in our smart mobile devices. So awareness of physical surroundings, and of course this is where it links into the IoT that I'm coming on to in a moment. Awareness of physical surroundings, awareness of the context of what you're doing, linkage between different applications, just to make life easier and more effective. And then I think the other trend is going to be around different input methods. So speech recognition, of course, and improvements in machine learning for improved speech recognition, but also in gesture control for mobile devices. So it's all about those devices becoming a more and more seamless part of our everyday lives. And really, one of the things that means for ARM is continuing to provide what we call the right size computing. So the levels of performance, which of course are always increasing to deliver the requirements of all these applications, but at the lowest possible power point, which of course has been at the heart of ARM's DNA since the company was started. So mobile, as we all know, the smartphone market, we've seen this incredible growth over the last 5 years, and the pace of that growth inevitably is slowing down at the moment. So, where are the next waves of growth going to come from for the semiconductor industry? And I think we had a good panel session earlier on today on automotive, and that is one key sector where we're starting to see glimpses of where the future is going already. So at CES this year, at CES in Las Vegas in January, we saw NVIDIA release their new Drive PX2 chip, which gives you 360-degree situational contextual sensing around the vehicle. Notice the link back there to what I was talking about in mobile and the contextual awareness that is going to be a key part of enabling a lot of the advanced ADAS systems that we're going to see in automotive. So there's a huge amount of innovation going into the car, and that is going to cause an explosion in the demand for semiconductors and complex systems in the vehicle. The car industry is being disrupted, right? We see this with what a company like Tesla is doing, for example, the recent summon update that they added to their software, so you can summon your vehicle to come to you and park itself. And these kind of things are first steps, right, towards the autonomous vehicle. We know Google, of course, has their self-driving cars that have been being tested for quite a while now. There are challenges, though. We're still at the first step stage on this. Rain is one. So the Google cars will slow down or pull over if it's raining, right? At that point, a human has to step in and decide, what do we do here? So there are still challenges to solve. But I think automotive is a great example of where there are multiple smart connected technologies coming together to enable the revolutionization of an industry. And this is where the boundaries of IoT start getting blurred, because a lot of automotive, a lot of the innovation in automotive is also going to be dependent on IoT in the sense of connectivity to sensing other vehicles, sensing roadside sensors to enable the car to make decisions about what it is going to do next. So going on to the IoT, well, we've talked a lot about the IoT today in many of the presentations, and I think we'd all agree that, in reality, the Internet of Things is already here. And for us, this is borne out by the numbers that we see in terms of, how it's affected our market share. Now, remember I was talking a little earlier about the number of ARM chips shipped in 2015, about 2 for every person on the planet. And but if you look what's happened over the last 10 years to our market share in embedded, so applications with embedded intelligence, many of which have connectivity, of course, 34% of those shipments now coming from those embedded applications. So you can kind of do the approximate maths on that. The IoT is already here.